So you've probably heard about crypto, right? And the first thing that comes to mind is prices going absolutely wild. But what if there was a crypto that didn't do that? What if it acted more like a good old-fashioned dollar? Well, there is. Today, we're diving into stablecoins, the so-called digital dollars that promise to be the bridge between the crazy world of crypto and the stability we all know. Let's see how they work. All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the big problem that started it all, volatility. Then we'll unpack the three main ways these coins actually stay stable. After that, we'll meet the big players in the game, look at what you can actually do with them, and of course, cover the risks you need to know about. Finally, we'll peek into the future. Sound good? Let's do it. So, first things first, why do we even need stablecoins? I mean, what's the point? The answer, in one word, is volatility. You know how it is. Traditional cryptocurrencies are famous for their insane price swings, which makes them a real headache for everyday things, like buying a coffee or just saving your money. And this slide right here, it shows you everything you need to know. It's the perfect picture of the problem. On the left, you've got the crypto roller coaster, where the value can swing by thousands of dollars in a single day. And on the right, that's the whole point of a stablecoin, just a nice, boring, flat line. The goal is always the same. One coin equals $1. That predictability, it's a game changer. Okay, so what is a stablecoin really? At its core, it's a special type of crypto that's built from the ground up to hold a steady value. It does this by being pegged or kind of glued to another asset, and that's usually the US dollar. The easiest way to think about them is just as digital dollars that can zip around on the blockchain, giving you the speed of crypto without the crazy price swings. But how? How in the world do they pull this off? How do they keep that peg when everything else in crypto is going wild? Well, it turns out there are basically three different strategies, each with its own set of pros and cons. Let's dig into the first one. The first, and by far the most common type, is what we call fiat collateralized. And honestly, it's the easiest one to wrap your head around. For every single digital coin that exists, there's a real US dollar sitting in a bank account somewhere. Simple as that. It's basically a digital IOU for a real dollar. Now, this model has a really clear trade-off. The good part? It's simple, and it's incredibly stable because it's backed by actual cash. But the downside? It's centralized. You have to put all your faith in one single company, trusting that they really have all that money they say they do. And of course, that means they have to play by government rules. All right, path number 2 is crypto collateralized. This is where things get a little more crypto native. Instead of being backed by dollars in a bank, these stablecoins are backed by a big pile of other cryptocurrencies, like Ethereum. You can almost think of it like taking out a loan. You pledge some of your valuable crypto as collateral, and in return, you get this brand new stablecoin. The biggest plus here is decentralization. There's no single company you have to trust. But there's a catch, right? Because the crypto it's backed by is also volatile. So to handle that risk, you have to do something called over-collateralize. It's like a safety cushion. You might need to lock up, say, $150 worth of Ethereum just to mint $100 of the stablecoin, just in case prices drop. And that brings us to our third type, algorithmic. These are the real wildcards of the group. You want to know what they're backed by? Nothing, absolutely nothing. Instead of collateral, they use pure code. Smart contracts, which are basically just automated programs, are constantly creating or destroying coins to keep the price right at $1. The appeal is obvious, right? It's the dream of a truly decentralized currency. But man, the risk is huge. This is the category that has seen some spectacular failures. We're talking about coins that were supposed to be stable, losing their peg and crashing to zero, practically overnight. It's a real high-wire act. Okay, so that's the theory. We've got the three flavors. But what does this look like in the real world? Let's meet the big players, the stablecoins you're most likely to actually run into. You have Tether, or USDT. That's the undisputed king, the one everyone uses for trading. Then there's USD Coin, or USDC, which has a reputation for being more by-the-book and transparent. BUSD is tied to the massive Binance exchange. And then there's DAI. That's our crypto collateralized example, and it's a huge deal in the world of DeFi, or decentralized finance. So why bother with all this? What are people actually doing with these things? Let's get into the practical side of it and see why stablecoins have become absolutely essential to the crypto world.
Okay, 4 huge reasons. First, they're a safe harbor. When the crypto market is a raging storm, traders can duck into stablecoins to protect their cash. Second, sending money. You can zap it across the globe way faster and cheaper than with a traditional bank. Third, you can actually earn with them in DeFi by lending them out for interest. And finally, and this is a big one, for people in countries with really shaky economies, stablecoins are a lifeline to the US dollar.
All right, you knew this was coming. It can't all be good news. Like anything in finance, stablecoins have their own set of risks, and these are things you absolutely have to be aware of before you dive in. The first big one, especially for those popular fiat-backed coins, is centralization risk. See, when you hold one of these, you're not actually holding a dollar. You're holding a token that's a promise from a company that they have a dollar for you, and that all hinges on trust. So what does that mean in practice? Well, it means you gotta trust the company running the show. If they mess up their accounting or don't actually have the reserves they claim to, your stablecoin could be in big trouble. And because it's a central company, they, or the government, could theoretically freeze your funds. The second risk, and this is the big one, this is the nightmare scenario for any stablecoin holder. It's called depegging. This is when a stablecoin completely fails at its one and only job, staying stable.
When a stablecoin depegs, it means your $1 coin is suddenly not worth a dollar anymore. Maybe it's 95 cents, maybe it's 50 cents, or maybe it's close to zero. During really crazy market moments, even the big, reliable ones can get a little shaky. But those algorithmic ones, they are way, way more vulnerable to this happening.
So where are we headed with all this? Stablecoins are a massive part of the crypto world today, but the future is, well, it's getting complicated. Let's take a peek at what's just around the corner. Okay, the thing you're going to hear a lot more about is central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. You can basically think of these as official government-run stablecoins. So instead of a private company issuing a digital dollar, the country's central bank itself would issue it. We're already seeing this happen with things like the digital yuan in China. So as we look to the future, there are a few key things to keep an eye on. Private stablecoins are going to keep growing, especially in DeFi and for global payments. We'll probably see some new experimental hybrid models too. But the main event, the big showdown, it's going to be these private stablecoins versus the government-backed CBDCs, both racing to define what our money looks like next. And that leaves us with this massive question, one that's going to define the next decade of finance. As our money becomes more and more digital, who's going to be in the driver's seat? Will it be the private companies, the innovators, or will it be the governments themselves? That's not just a billion-dollar question, it's probably a trillion-dollar one.